Let me tell you something that's going to sting a little. Your no-contact strategy? It's not strength. It's validation-seeking disguised as silence. You think going quiet for 2 weeks shows you've moved on? But here's the truth. If you're checking her stories at 2 a.m., mentally replaying conversations, wondering if she's thinking about you, you haven't moved on. You've just gone silent while still orbiting her world. If you've been doing no contact and nothing changed, she's not reaching out, she's not wondering where you went, she's just moved on. It's because silence alone isn't enough. It's step one, but most men stop there and wonder why it didn't work. This video isn't about getting her back. It's about reclaiming your power and making sure she feels the loss, not you sitting in silence hoping she notices. I'm going to show you exactly what's missing from your strategy. The tactical moves that go beyond silence, the psychological shifts that actually change the dynamic, and why your indifference, not your anger, is what she'll remember. By the end of this, you'll understand why men who master this never orbit again. Let's break it down. Now, before we go further, this video isn't about manipulation. It's not about playing games or trying to win her back through tactics. That's not the point. This is about reclaiming your self-respect and making sure you're not trapped in a cycle where you think you've moved on, but you're still mentally stuck. Here's the truth most dating advice won't tell you. No contact has become so mainstream that women expect it now. They know the playbook. And if your energy is still attached, if you're still checking, still wondering, still hoping, she can sense it. The silence means nothing when your mind is still renting her space. So let's go deeper. Let me show you exactly why no contact alone doesn't shift the dynamic and what's actually missing from your strategy. The problem is this. No contact used to be a powerful move because most women didn't see it coming. But now, it's the first thing every guy does after a rejection or when interest fades. It's become expected, predictable. And when something is expected, it loses all psychological impact. But here's the deeper issue most men don't understand. It's not about the silence itself. It's about the energy behind the silence. Ask yourself, when you go quiet, are you genuinely detached? Or are you secretly hoping she notices? Are you moving forward with your life? Or are you checking her profile once a week, analyzing her stories, convincing yourself you're just seeing if she's okay? If the answer is the second one, you're not detached, you're orbiting. Here's why this matters. When you go silent but your energy is still attached, when you're mentally replaying conversations, wondering if she's thinking about you, hoping she reaches out, she can feel it. Not consciously, but women are incredibly intuitive about attention and investment. She knows the difference between a man who's genuinely moved on and a man who's playing a strategy while secretly waiting for her validation. The first is rare and magnetic. The second is common and forgettable. So what do most men do? They go quiet. They wait. They convince themselves they're executing no contact perfectly. Meanwhile, nothing changes. She doesn't reach out. She doesn't wonder where you went. She just lives her life. And you're stuck in this limbo, silent but not free, waiting but not moving forward. That's the trap. So here's what we're going to cover. In the next few sections, I'm breaking down exactly what goes beyond no contact to actually shift the power dynamic. First, why no contact alone is passive and what active detachment looks like. Second, the 3 specific tactical moves that go beyond silence and change how she perceives you. Third, how to create psychological absence even when you're in proximity. Fourth, the strategic presence technique that flips the script and makes her question if you've lost interest. And fifth, why your indifference, not your anger, is what she'll actually remember. By the end of this video, you'll understand why men who master true detachment never orbit, and women never forget them. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about why no contact alone doesn't work anymore. Here's what happened. When this strategy first started circulating in dating advice, it was powerful because it was unexpected. Most men would chase, over-explain, text multiple times, so when a guy went silent, It created genuine confusion and curiosity in women. She'd wonder where he went. She'd start questioning her decision. But now, every guy knows about no contact. It's the default move after rejection or when interest fades. Women expect it. They've seen it before. So when you disappear, she's not confused. She's not questioning anything. She knows exactly what you're doing. And more importantly, she knows that if you really moved on, you wouldn't be so calculated about it. Here's the deeper issue most men miss. It's not the silence itself that creates impact. It's the energy behind it. When you go silent but you're still mentally attached, checking her stories after midnight, wondering if she noticed you didn't like her post, replaying conversations in your head trying to figure out where it went wrong, scrolling past her name in your contacts and feeling that urge to reach out, she can feel that, not consciously. But women are incredibly intuitive about attention and investment. Your actions say, "I'm gone," but your energy says, "I'm still watching." And that incongruence kills any power the silence could have had. True detachment isn't about what you're not doing. It's about where your mind actually is. If you're executing no contact but you're still orbiting her world mentally, you're not detached. You're just quiet. And quiet isn't powerful. It's passive. Which brings us to what actually works. Active detachment. This is the first real move that goes beyond passive silence. Here's the difference. Passive no contact is hoping she notices you're gone. Active detachment is you deciding the terms of your absence and making moves that signal you've genuinely shifted your attention elsewhere. Let me break down 3 tactical moves that create this shift. First, the 72-hour complete blackout. This isn't just not texting her. This is a full digital ghost. No viewing her stories, no checking mutual friends' posts to see if she's tagged, no casual scrolling past her profile. For 72 hours, she doesn't exist in your digital world. Why does this work? Because most men go silent but still spectate. They're in the audience. This move removes you from the audience completely, and that absence registers differently than just not texting. Second, shift your attention economy. This is where you redirect the energy you were giving her into visible growth and social proof. Hit the gym and post progress. Go out with friends and let it show up naturally on your feed. Engage with other women. Platonically is fine. The point isn't to make her jealous, it's to demonstrate that your world is full without her. Women notice when a man's attention shifts. Not because you told her, because your behavior shows your life continued without pausing for her response. Third, the strategic reappearance protocol. After that 72-hour blackout, if you re-enter her awareness, do it on your terms, not in her DMs. Like a story at 2 a.m. after weeks of silence, then vanish again. Comment on a mutual friend's post about plans she's not part of. The key here is asymmetric engagement. You're present, but unpredictable. You're not pursuing her, but you're also not frozen in place waiting for her to notice. The psychological effect of this combination? She moves from thinking he's being silent to questioning, did he actually move on? That shift, from her feeling in control to her feeling uncertain, is where power rebalances, and that's what passive silence alone will never create. Now here's where it gets more surgical. This next move is about creating what I call the scarcity illusion, making her question whether she's the one who lost access, not the other way around. Most men frame rejection as, she rejected me, now I'm gone. But what happens when you flip that perception? When you create doubt in her mind about who actually walked away? That's the scarcity illusion. Here's how you create it. Strategic engagement on your terms. Brief, unpredictable, and never pursuing. You're not chasing her attention. You're not waiting for her response. You're showing up in her world when you decide, not when she expects. Like the strategic story, like I mentioned earlier, or a 2-word reply after days of silence that doesn't invite conversation. The message underneath isn't "I miss you," it's "you're not the focus anymore." The other piece is asymmetric validation. Most men either give full validation or withdraw completely. The power move? Neither. You engage without validating her as special. She posts something. You might like it, you might not. She reaches out, you respond, but hours later, with low investment. The key is making her wonder if she's just another person in your feed, not the person. And here's the ego crusher in this: social proof positioning. Let her see you're not frozen in place. Let her see other women commenting on your posts. Let her see you living your life forward, not to make her jealous, that's desperate, but to make her realize you weren't waiting for her decision to define your reality. The psychological result? Cognitive dissonance. Her narrative was, I rejected him, he's stuck. But the evidence says, he's moving forward, did he reject me? That dissonance creates the question you want in her mind. Wait, did I lose something? Now here's the part that separates men who get respect from men who get recycled. What you do when she does reach out. Because here's what happens. You execute active detachment, you create the scarcity illusion, and eventually, sometimes days, sometimes weeks later, she breaks first. A casual, hey, how have you been? A random meme, an excuse to reach out. And this is where most men blow it by responding too fast, too eagerly, too available. First contact protocol: delay, brevity, disinterest. If she texts, wait hours, not to play games, but because you're genuinely busy living your life. When you do respond, keep it short. 1 or 2 sentences max. No enthusiasm, no exclamation points, no questions that invite conversation. The energy should read, I'm responding because I saw this, not because I've been waiting for it. Here's a script example. She texts, hey stranger, how have you been? Most men respond, been good. Miss talking to you, how are you? That's validation seeking. The better response, hours later, around, been busy. Then nothing. Let her do the work to continue the conversation. If she wants access back, she earns it. And here's the critical frame battle. Never explain your absence. Never apologize for moving on. The moment you justify where you've been, you've admitted you were tracking her reaction to your silence. Men who explain themselves lose. Men who simply exist in their own reality without needing her validation. They win the frame by not playing. The decision matrix is simple. If her energy is high investment, paragraphs, questions, genuine interest, you can engage more. But keep your energy one level below hers. If her energy is low, short replies, no questions, testing the waters, ghost again. You're not interested in being an option. You're only interested in being chosen with full investment. This separates you from every other guy who goes silent, caves the moment she reaches out, and ends up right back where he started. Your strategic response shows you weren't waiting. You were living. But here's the final piece that most men never reach, and it's the one that actually creates lasting power. Mental detachment. You can execute every tactical move perfectly, the blackout, the strategic presence, the frame control. But if you're still mentally orbiting her, none of it works long term. Because the tactics are performative. Real power comes from genuine indifference. So how do you get there? You kill the fantasy. Stop mentally rehearsing what you'll say when she reaches out. Stop analyzing her posts for hidden meaning. Stop checking if she viewed your story. Every time she enters your mind, you consciously redirect that energy toward your mission, your goals, your life. Not as a tactic to make her miss you, as a genuine shift in where your attention lives. Here's the psychological mechanism. Attachment lives in repetition. Every time you think about her, you're strengthening that neural pathway. Every time you check her profile, you're feeding the obsession. But when you consistently redirect, when you catch the thought and immediately shift focus to your workout, your work, your purpose, you're starving that attachment. And over time, it weakens. It dies. And here's what that creates in her. Ego death. Not because you're punishing her, but because women remember the men who genuinely didn't need them. Anger means you still care. Bitterness means she still has power. But indifference? True, calm, unshakable indifference? That's the ego crusher. Because it tells her she wasn't important enough to occupy your mental space. She was just someone who was there and now isn't. That shift from she rejected me to she was just there and now she's not is when you stop orbiting. And ironically, that's when she starts wondering if she should have held on tighter. So let's tie this all together and talk about the compound effect. What happens when you combine active detachment, strategic presence, and mental release over time? Here's the timeline most men don't understand. This isn't overnight. The first week she might not notice. The second week, maybe a flicker of curiosity. But by week 4, week 6, week 8, that's when the realization cascade starts. First, she notices your silence. Then, she questions it. Then, she checks your profile and sees you've moved forward. And finally, she feels it, the loss. But here's what's critical to understand about why women circle back. It's not because she wants you back. It's because she wants to know you don't want her. It's an ego verification move. She needs confirmation that she's still desirable to you, that you haven't completely moved on, that she still holds space in your mind. And this is where weak men fail. They interpret her reaching out as genuine interest and immediately give her that validation. The powerful move? Treat her return attempt like any other option. Not the option, not special, just someone who's reaching out. Because if you've truly detached, that's exactly what she is. And here's the long-term value even if she never comes back. You win. You broke the orbit. You reclaimed your mental space. You learned that your attention is the prize, not the payment. That lesson alone is worth more than any reunion. Women remember 2 types of men, the ones who chased them endlessly, and the ones who genuinely didn't need them. Guess which one she thinks about years later? The man who didn't need her validation to feel whole. The man who walked away and never looked back. That man becomes a ghost she can't shake. So the compound effect isn't about her coming back. It's about you becoming the type of man who never waits around for anyone to realize his value. And ironically, that's exactly what makes you unforgettable. Now here's the uncomfortable truth that makes all of this complete. And you might not want to hear it, but it's the difference between real power and performed power. Your silence alone means nothing if you're still mentally orbiting her. Every time you check if she viewed your story, every time you analyze her posts for signs she's thinking about you, every time you wonder, is she missing me right now? You're still hers. You didn't crush her ego. She crushed yours, and you're coping by pretending silence equals power. Real detachment doesn't wonder, it doesn't check, it doesn't track, it doesn't hope. And that's what would actually make her feel the loss, the version of you that truly isn't thinking about her anymore. Now, I know how this sounds. This isn't about being cold or emotionless. This is about being honest with yourself. Because if you need her to know you moved on, you haven't. If you need her to feel regret, you're still attached. The tactical moves I showed you, they only work when they come from genuine indifference, not from a place of, I hope this makes her realize what she lost. So ask yourself right now, are you executing these strategies to win, or because you've genuinely moved forward? Because the man who needs her to regret it is still hers. The man who's truly moved on, she'll chase that ghost forever. And the difference between those 2 men is what's happening in your head, not in your actions. That shift, from needing her to feel something to genuinely not caring if she does, is when you stop performing power and actually have it. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been stuck in the mental orbit even while doing no contact? Have you caught yourself checking her stories, wondering if she's thinking about you, hoping she notices you're gone? Or have you actually detached? Drop your experience in the comments below. What strategies worked? Where did you get stuck? What made the difference? I read every single comment. I'm not here to just talk at you and disappear. I'm here to build with you, learn from you, and help you navigate this. Your story matters, and other men here need to hear it too. Because this isn't just about one woman or one rejection. This is about men breaking free from validation-seeking behavior and reclaiming their power. This is about building a community where we understand that our attention is the prize, not the payment. We're not here to chase, we're here to rise. Remember, you're not the guy she rejected. You're the man she'll realize she lost. And men who genuinely move forward, who don't orbit, who don't check, who don't need validation, are the ones women never forget. Be that man. Not for her, for you.